Okay, I'm Jesse and my presentation is on several things which you'll see. Uprisings, plots to rebel, an oppressive government. What would you guys do if your government knew everything that you were thinking at all times? The title of my presentation is Bolsheviks in the Future. Okay, my presentation is related to the novel 1984 and the Russian Revolution in the early 1900s. Almost everyone has heard of George Orwell's novel 1984. It's a very famous, very classic science fiction book, and a lot of its terms have entered mainstream culture, such as Big Brother is a leader that's always watching and controlling your every move. But what most people don't know is that it's based off the Russian Revolution. The Russian Revolution occurred in 1917, and it was kind of the product of a lot of different events, of a lot of people being very angry at their government, and very poor people. The working class rebelled against the government because they weren't getting the wages they wanted or the work they wanted. Strikes were common. A main leader in this revolution was the Bolshevik Party, and its leader, Vladimir Lenin. Some other leaders were Leon Trotsky and Joseph Stalin. Lenin wanted to lead the revolution to achieve equality for all. He believed in Karl Marx's theory that there was going to be an uprising of the people against the ruling class and the upper class. So, unfortunately, Lenin died in 1924, and Trotsky and Stalin took over the party. But these two guys had very differing views. Trotsky wanted to uphold the original Bolshevik ideas and stick with the things that they had fought for. He believed that the working class uprising would never be truly complete until it was global, and the working class people took back what was theirs. And he believed in spreading the revolution and fairness for all people. Stalin was kind of on the opposite end of that. He wasn't really that. So Stalin took over. He seized power and ruled with an iron fist. He went away from the ideals that he had previously said he upheld, and he created an army of secret police and exiled Trotsky from the country. The secret police, you'll see, are related to a couple things in 1984, and as well as the propaganda. Propaganda is a big part of history, especially governments that are trying to control their people. Hitler used a lot of propaganda to persuade his people to follow him and to hate certain ethnic groups or racial groups. So did Stalin. Fast forward several years. In the mid-20th century, the year is unknown, Winston Smith is the main character of 1984, and he's a clerk in the government-run Ministry of Truth. There are several of these government offices that control different aspects of how the country runs. The Ministry of Truth is responsible for collecting all of the records and keeping all the records of the country, only it's not exactly how newspapers are today, because most of the news is fake and controlled by the government. There's a scene in the book where Winston has to think of a publicity stunt, and so he invents in his mind a soldier that died in combat, and he gives him an entire backstory and awards and all these things to rally people around the party and believe in the soldiers that are fighting for their rights overseas. But the guy never existed. It was complete government propaganda in order to control people. So that's what Winston does for a living. He lives in Oceania, which is one of 3 global superpowers, the other 2 being Eurasia and East Asia. Oceania is comprised of England and the British Isles and most of North and South America in the book. And the funny thing about the country is that there's the 2 other superpowers, and Oceania is sometimes at war with one and allied with another, and sometimes they flip. But the government controls the people so much and has to control what they believe that in the beginning of the book, I actually do not remember which one, but everyone believes that that Oceania has been at war with the one, but Winston says he remembers 4 years ago it was the other way around. And so everyone just kind of blindly accepts, and halfway through the book, they switch again, and Winston, being the person that controls the information at his job, has to do weeks worth of work to destroy all the past records that say that their country was allied with another one, and switch everything completely to just change the information, which I think is pretty scary. That a government can, a big theme of the book is the government controls the history by the information. So they can change everything that they say happened in the history of the world. So the party is the ruling group of the country, and it's not a party because they're not very much fun. It consists of 3 groups of citizens. The inner party is the upper class. It's about less than 2% of the population. They're the rich people that rule and govern. Winston is a member of the outer party, which is the middle class, and they're the second largest, but they're still not that populated. There's a scene in the book where Winston talks with a member of the inner party, the upper class, and, well, first of all, in Winston's apartment, they have these screens that always pump out government propaganda, and they can also see what you're doing, and you can't turn them off. When Winston goes to the inner party man's house, he can turn his off and just have drinks with people. So it's kind of the difference in classes there. But 85% of the population of the country are called the proles, shortened from the proletariat, which is a term used in the Russian Revolution for the kind of working class people. They're 85% of the population. They're very uneducated, and they're not monitored by the party. They don't have telescreens to watch what they're doing. They are just kind of poor and uneducated. The party began, the backstory of the book is when Winston was a child, there was a nuclear war, and the party rose up against the current government and took control. The leaders of the party were supposedly Big Brother and a man named Emmanuel Goldstein. They were the people that led the revolution and were the head of the party. After they seized control, Big Brother exiled Goldstein because supposedly he went against the party. And so now in Oceania they have a 2-minute seminar every day where they build up their hate for Goldstein. In the movie, there's a chick that throws her shoe at the screen because she hates Goldstein so much. And the comparison between these two is George Orwell wrote 1984 and 1949. He was actually writing it in 1948, so he flipped the 1 and the 8, and that's how he came up with the date. But he wrote it as his fear of the future, what he feared would happen in the future when he was watching communist Russia and after the Russian Revolution. And he wrote it as a caution against what he thought could happen. And his characters are based off of people in the book. Big Brother is Stalin. They both lead their revolution to overthrow the power and take the country, and they rule with an iron fist with absolute power over their people, having to control exactly what they do. Stalin sent a lot of people, of his own citizens, to work camps in Siberia where almost all of them died. It was very high mortality rates. They both exiled their revolutionary partner. For Stalin, it was Trotsky, and for Big Brother, he exiled Goldstein. And they both had this army of secret police that are watching the public's every move and control them through propaganda. So Goldstein is Trotsky. They both uphold ideals of the revolution, and they were exiled for it. They're both made to be hated by the public. Interesting fact, Goldstein died from Stalin's assassins chased him down to where he was living. I believe it was somewhere South America, and he was killed with an ice pick to the back of the head. So, what a way to go. Conclusion, Orwell's enduring novel is a serious account of what he believed the future could be like. It was his own vision of the terrible things that can happen in the future with a over-controlling government. The themes of the dictator ruling with an iron fist, an oppressive government, and world-changing revolution are all very big themes in science fiction, and he kind of changed the genre. And Big Brother is much. And that's it.